Hello and welcome to New Leaf News. My name is Chris Whitcoe. We're going to get into what's going on with Shakina. We're going to have an interview with my man Izaiah. We're going to be learning about sprouts with Irene. We got our resident guru, Irene, giving us some deep thoughts. And we're going to try a new segment called Conscious HipHop, which is going to be really cool. So stay with us. Welcome to New Leaf News with Chris Whitcoe and Shakina. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Good to have you. So, what's going on in the world? So all this stuff with the contaminations. We had the Taco Bell thing a few months ago. We have the spinach E. coli scare, whatever that was a few months ago. And we had just recently this peanut butter salmonella thing. So over the last 3 years, we seem to be having some food contamination issues.
Wow, that sucks for a lot of people because a lot of people eat peanut butter.
Totally. So let me ask you a question. They just released the amount of inspections that the FDA does over the last 3 years.
Note to self: don't eat peanut butter. Almond butter. Almond butter.
89% of America eats peanut butter
That's
every
what I'm
day.
saying. Note to self. That's all. Continue, Chris.
So,
I apologize for interrupting. It was not my intention.
It's all cool. It's all good.
Sometimes the information needs to be given.
So do you suppose there have been more FDA inspections over the last 3 years as a result or less?
I'm going to say less.
What do you think?
Why do I think less?
Yeah, especially when there needs to be more. Clearly and obviously there needs to be more.
Because we're clearly and obviously not getting it done in this country.
And so here's the...
So that would be the tendency.
Yeah.
That would be following the pattern.
Your hunch is right on.
Thank you.
Guess
cool.
what? So the FDA goes in and inspects. What do? They do two things. They look for flies and dirt and things like that, and then they actually test.
Wait, there'd be flies or dirt?
That's a clear indication that there's a problem if they find flies. They look for flies because that's...
In the peanut butter?
Well, in all food inspection factories, in all food production facilities all across the country, the FDA, whether it's meat or vegetables or packing or canneries, whatever. Okay.
Basic rule.
Basic rule.
Got it.
So, guess what? The actual number of inspections have been down 47%. So, like half.
That's everything.
In 3 years.
That's the whole point of it.
And testing has been down 75%. Why? Because it costs money. And guess what? When they find anything wrong, it costs the corporations money to fix.
Of course.
And so the policy is what? Fix it yourself, please, corporations. It's called self-guiding or self-regulating. That's what the industry is. And that's the push. Yeah. And we all know what happens when an industry self-regulates.
Yes.
We get fecal contamination.
Right.
Such as E. coli, salmonella.
AKA micromanagement.
Right.
I just can't take it.
So I want to spend a few minutes talking about some of the facts that we know about foodborne illness.
Cool.
And why we should probably start switching to a more natural form of feeding ourselves food, which what I would say natural, I would think in terms of fresh, local, especially organic.
Okay, good. I'm so glad you said that next because I was starting to get a little
Well, not everybody
concerned.
eats organic, but it's still important to understand, even if you're not eating organic, that local is still better because it's not the average food is traveling 1,500 miles.
This is an amazing point.
So,
if you remember nothing else from this, remember that.
Well,
eat local.
That's right.
If you're not going to do organic.
And you know what? If a food's going to travel 1,500 miles, you got to pick it before it's ripe, which means it's not at the peak of its nutrients.
And it's not ever going to be because it's going to start to die once it's picked.
That's right. That's right. So eating local is good.
Right.
So now we've got this whole problem of contamination and illnesses, especially when it's traveling and it's not grown local. You don't know where it's coming from.
Right.
And so when you don't know where it's coming from, you can't like go up to the farmer and go, "Hey, dude, your stuff was a little bad."
Exactly. There's no opportunity for feedback and growth.
So I wanted to So I wanted to check on some of these statistics. It said 76 million people a year have some kind of foodborne illness.
Wow, 76
million. Check this out. 325,000 hospitalizations and 5,000 deaths associated with foodborne illnesses.
Wow.
But here's what I find most disturbing about that statistic.
Wow, there's more?
Well, first of all, it was hard to find. I went to the center.
That wasn't disturbing enough?
Yeah, exactly. So I went to the Center for Disease Control to verify this.
Right.
That's where it comes from.
Right.
I couldn't find it. It took me forever to find it. So they're really clearly buried.
It took you forever to find the Center for Disease Control?
No, I found that immediately on the internet.
Oh, okay.
I
I was going to say, now that's a serious issue.
Well, Google helps me out quite a bit.
Right.
Google is my friend. He knows everything.
Yeah, friend.
So this study was done in 1999.
Uh-huh.
So they decided in 1999 to actually check out.
Which is kind of a long time ago to do study.
You think studying for foodborne illness and contaminations
would be a little more important to do than once every 10 years.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
So that concerns me. So there's clearly a kind of, it's not like an overt, we don't want to let this information get out there, but they're not really trying to push it. They're not checking for it. The inspections are down.
Right.
Something's going on with our food.
Right.
And I just really want to promote local, fresh, organic food because there's so many reasons why that's good. And this just one more of them. Not to mention genetically modified stuff that's out there.
Right.
The bovine growth hormone that's going into all the milk.
Yeah, because see, here's what you got to remember is that if you're taking in something that comes from an animal, you're actually taking in everything that animal took in.
Yeah, and the pesticides that go on the food that's being served to them, all that stuff, it gets concentrated in the animal.
And truly, we could tell stories about what's really going on, and it's
not good.
Nah.
It's not for children.
Not supportive. Right. Unsupportive. Right. And inappropriate.
Exactly.
Good.
So, what else is going on? Just released Asian Times Online. It's not getting released in America. It may get
only
released.
The Asians can handle it.
Only the Asians can handle it.
Because only they can handle this degree of stress.
Right. The Iraqi...
Oh, a disharmony.
Well...
It's madness in the Asian countries.
It's madness in Iraq.
Right.
And what's going on is the Iraqi ministry is just finally putting together their what are we going to do with our oil?
Wow, welcome.
So who do you think the big winners are?
The big people.
The big people. The big oil companies.
Right.
Actually,
the big guys.
U.S. oil companies are the big winners in this one.
And how many are there?
Oh, I don't know. Probably not that many. Probably half a dozen or so. You got Shell, Mobil, Exxon.
So they're about to come into some significant wealth.
I would say so. The bill was drafted in the U.S. by a firm hired by the Bush administration with big oil's approval for the Iraqis.
Nice.
And then it was translated into Arabic. So the language of origin is English. And it's really helping the Iraqis. Do you think it's in the best interest of the Iraqi people, this bill, what to do with their enormous amount of wealth? They're the third largest oil reserves on the planet.
Whoa.
Do you think it's going to help the Iraqi people? Who do you think is going to gain? Do you think we're going to gain, the U.S. people, the Iraqi people? No, it's going to be big oil executives. They've got everything to gain because it costs Iraq $1 per barrel to remove their oil. And what does it sound for right now? Around 60. So there is an incredible, we're talking millions of dollars a day.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Of energy.
And really what's going on is it amounts to, unfortunately, the raping and pillaging of the Iraqis.
The death and dismemberment. Of
their resources, of their natural resources. And actually, if you want to look at it holistically, the planet's resources.
Of course, because nothing like that, nothing can happen without it being reproduced. Everything's reflecting itself.
Right on.
So...
Exactly.
That's it. It is what it is. It's not our opinion.
It's called a freak. They're doing it like today. Allow us. We'll show you the way.
Hello, welcome to New Leaf News. This is the Freak of the Week. And for this week, it's my pleasure to welcome Izaiah.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. So tell me, what do you think about this whole movement that's going on? Tell me about what your feel of it is, and what your take of it is, and how you play a part.
Well, yeah, it's exciting times for sure right now. You know, there's a lot of shifts happening in consciousness. There's a lot of people awakening right now to this new way of life, which is really an ancient way of life. It's like we kind of went off on this journey as human beings, and in the last 50 years, we've made a lot of improvements and mistakes, so now we've got technology, we've got got everything we need, and we're just in the nick of time pulled it together. We've got every opportunity to experience heaven on earth.
One of the first things we talked about when we first met was, what are your favorite foods?
It's shifting,
as always.
As always. But I would say that, the main foods that I like are the primordial foods like algae, blue-green algae,
Right.
AFA, E3 Live. Those to me are like the crucial things in there because they've got oils, and they've got the just got a way of circulating energy to the
vibe that just brings it
going
and
on.
connects you.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I'm super into the medicinal mushrooms, which is another primordial food. So we're looking at reishi, cordyceps, himamatsutake, things that are just like kicking the immune system up into like super, super status. And that with the E3 Live, with the AFA, and goji berries. Pretty much Chinese herbal stuff. That's the focus of what's energizing this form right here.
When you get up in the morning, what is your routine? How do you get kind of connected?
Start off with the breath, the first connection, the first moment waking up, doing some of the Kundalini yoga practices of just like tensing the body, doing some fire breathing to the belly, just getting that body oxygenated, and just starting off with lots of liquids, warm liquids.
Warm liquids.
Warm liquids. Always
so do a tea.
Teas in the morning.
Okay.
For sure. Like up until, maybe 3 or 4 hours, and that really just gives the system a chance to start. Because I notice if I eat food right away when I wake up in the morning, the rest of the day kind of goes sluggish because I'm still working on it. I didn't build up that fire, So for me, it's about building the fire first. Just imagining starting a fire. I'm not going to toss the biggest log on there as I'm, just waking up, or else that fire is not going to really get started. So I see every morning I wake up as a chance to start a new fire, and then throw some good raw foods in there later, some good sustainable, like organic, hemp seeds or something, a little bit later in a smoothie. That's usually how it goes. So when I say fire, I'm talking about in our system of organs and whatnot. We have this certain enzymatic secretions and certain juices in us that just get flowing, and that's our stomach acid and all that. That's our fire. The fire is in our eyes. The fire is in our our being. It's what animates us. So to keep that fully just like stoked, to keep that fire stoked, just really just trying to be mindful of and becoming aware of the feeling of that fire, which is through meditation. I'd say meditation before even the food stuff is the most important thing, because it's the mind, really that's deciding, am I going to pick this up and eat it, or am I going to get into this conversation, or, so the fire is consciousness. You can start off with 5 minutes, just breathing. I'm just going to take 5 minutes, I'm going to drop everything, I'm not going to think about anything, I'm just going to breathe. And that's a great practice, so standing, sitting down, usually, spine straight, But I like to get at least 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes before I go to bed now. That's about,
That's awesome.
It's a good time.
When did you realize that you were a freak, that you were different, that you weren't fitting the mold?
Well, it's been pretty evident since I was very young.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been kind of an introvert, very, looking, realizing that there's so much more, and that everything that's being fed to me isn't necessarily the truth. So I guess from an early age I was interested in martial arts. I had a martial arts teacher, and just kind of always into this alternative reality. It's just like, wait a second, I'm in this market. I'm gonna climb over here. I'm gonna turn this like clothes rack into a jungle gym. You know what I mean? Everything, the world is our like playground. So been easy for me to realize, and come to a peaceful, state of being a freak. Just by being a traveler. Just traveling, just connecting with all the other freaks, because there are so many of us out there. It's unlimited. Really, none of us are alone. So.
Right.
It's a movement, and we're together. Just bringing the vibes up. We're all here to experience the highest. A big jump happened when I started unlearning. When I really started to explore meditation and the teachings of the Dalai Lama. Wandering through the library, looking at books. Whatever called me, and picked up some books on meditation, and that just really just spun me into another reality. You know, it was
so
like
you were looking for something.
just thirsty.
In
You know,
the library.
I just knew. I've been kind of force fed. You know, about a million subjects through 12 years of education.
Sure.
What do I want to learn? What's
right.
where's my mind seeking to expand? You know, and the library was the perfect place for that. I spent a lot of time in bookstores, Borders. You know, just opening it up, just exploring the meditation, and just being in that exploration stage. And I'm still in that stage. You know, and we're all
Are we all?
Exactly. It's like
trying to figure it out. What am I going to do when I grow up?
Exactly. I haven't figured it out yet. Main direction that I'm heading is just being thankful, you know, and realizing that it's not about Isaiah, it's not about me, it's not about me, you know. That's something that's coming up more and more, and really, it's like as paradoxical as it seems, as much as opposing as it seems, it's like as soon as I step out of really living for me, you know, it's like this hair is an expression of me just letting go. It's like this hair is going to do whatever it's going to do, you know.
Sure.
I didn't ask it to do this, you know what I mean? It's just like an expression of surrender, you know. So I guess Isaiah's purpose is to surrender, you know, just being grateful and experiencing primordial bliss, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that ancient bliss. I'm not doing this for me, you know. It's like I'm going to hold this blissful, peaceful, vibrant, vital space, and from that space, every person, every plant, every tree, everything that I interact with, we're just going to stoke each other, you know. And it's going to be like this, you know, this flame just carrying up, you know, upwards to to the heights of life, you know.
Well, listen, man, I wish you luck. I wish you don't need luck, but you got it going on. So thank you for coming on the show, brother.
Yes.
And talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and bless everyone.
My name is Irene, I'm from Spain, and I'm gonna talk about sprouts. I'm gonna give more or less the basis of how to sprout, so all of you can sprout at home.
Delicious, beautiful and green. They can feed the whole world and make our air clean. They can heal you when you're sick. They can hear you when you speak. Learn all about it on the plant of the week.
The first thing I do is I take a gallon bottle, and it's better if it's of glass, but you can also sprout in bags or any other things. So here what we do is that we put the name of what we're going to sprout, and we put a message, for example love or anything you can send to the sprout. And then broccoli takes 5 days to sprout, so today is the 28th, it'll be ready then the 5th of March. Then we just put broccoli takes 1.5 jars. And we just need to put this on top to be easier to water and drain, and for the air to come inside so that the sprouts can sprout, or the seeds can sprout. First I add like half gallon of water for the hydrogen peroxide not to be so directly on the sprouts. So now I'm putting, the first thing is hydrogen peroxide, and I put a tablespoon, which is 3 teaspoons, and I leave it for 20 minutes. Add the rest of the water. It's good that it's 1 gallon. That's the amount that needs 1 tablespoon. If not, it's too concentrated. There we go. And we'll leave it for 20 minutes. The second thing that we would put after the hydrogen peroxide is the EM, and we'll leave it for another 20 minutes. And the third thing, we'll put the mineral solution for the 5 hours till the afternoon when I try it. If it's green sprouts that are chlorophyll ones and they need sun, we take them outside and we leave them during the day outside in the sun. And when they are grains or legumes that don't need sun, we just leave them inside. And there's another type of sprouts that they also are chlorophyll ones, but they need to be in trays, which are buckwheat and sunflowers and also wheatgrass. So what we do with those is that we leave them for the wheatgrass for 1 day without sun. Then we plant it in trays, and then we cover them, and when they are ready, like 1 inch tall for the wheatgrass and 2 inches tall for the buckwheat and the sunflowers, we take the cover off and we start putting them outside in the sun. Yeah, basically that's it.
Today we're going to talk about a new word, a word that may be new to you, interbeing. I learned this word from Thich Nhat Hanh, and this really helps because we often feel alienated or separate from a lot of things. And so Thich Nhat Hanh, or Thai as many of his students call him, says, "Can you see a cloud on this sheet of paper?" And you look at it and you say, "Well, how can I see a cloud here?" And he says, "Well, this is how you can see a cloud on a sheet of paper. It took a tree to make this sheet of paper, and for the tree to grow, it took rainwater, and rainwater comes from a cloud. So if we look really deeply, we see that in this piece of paper, the element rain is actually here. It's really here. And we can also, not only can we see the rain, we can see the logger and the breakfast that the logger ate and the machinery that the logger used to cut down the tree. So we can see the eggs that the logger had for breakfast and maybe even the relationship that he has with his family. So really everything is contained within this sheet of paper. So this helps us to look more deeply at everything that's in our lives. And one of the things that we're focusing on at New Leaf News is about the food that we eat and to really be in touch with that food. You're now seeing that there's more of a local food movement or a slow food movement going on. We're looking to get more local produce. We want to know who's grown our food, where does it come from, what were the conditions that it was grown in. It can really help us to develop gratitude for that food, that more local food, that fresh food that we're eating by looking deeply at it and seeing that the food inter-is with everything else. You can see the farmer there. You can see the healthy people in your country. You can see the starving people in other parts of the world. You can see the health of the soil from the food, of the soil that the food is grown in. Okay? So this really helps us to get more in touch with how we inter-are with everything else. Thich Nhat Hanh says to be is to inter-be. So look deeply at everything in your life today and see how it is that you inter-are with everything else. How awake is your music? Well, coming up next, we've got Michael Bedard who's going to talk to us about conscious hip-hop. So stay tuned. So here we have Michael Bedard. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, good to have you. So tell us about conscious hip hop. Is that a new movement? What's going on with that?
Well, life imitates art, and art imitates life. And when there's consequences, intense music comes out. Because when life has consequences, whether it's consequences like getting hooked on drugs or being in a serious gang situation, or your health, that's when music really comes out and reflects that. And it comes out of that place of a life where there's intensity and consequences occur based on your actions, and you want to make your life meaningful. Supernova Slum. And when I first heard it, I realized, wow, he's speaking so true to the people that would really hear this kind of music. And it's as true to the lifestyle that Tree of Life teaches as you can get. He is totally into meditation, cultural roots, live and raw food, and it comes through in this really explosive music. Well, this song is drugs masquerading as food. On every corner, on avenue after avenue after avenue in a lot of cities, you get the same shop selling the same exact little candies, bottles full of, and he's saying these are drugs masquerading as foods. And because he knows that the whole generation is being influenced by what they eat and the junk that's in the wrappers and the plastic bottles. So here's drugs masquerading as foods. Synthetic, manufactured foods that have nothing but sugar and artificial sweeteners in them. They have no resemblance to anything that grows out of the ground. You could plant a seed and grow it. You know, that's natural food when you plant it. And then it grows and you eat it and you plant it again and it grows more. Life goes on generation after generation. You can't plant a bar you get at Kmart. Sugar is like crack.
I don't eat candy because it's not good for me. Sugar crack, sugar crack, sugar crack.
He's talking about diabetes and depression. You know, he really cares about his people. And seeing that just as much as you see the people at crack houses full of addicts, but all the diabetics and people that are depressed and hard to get into like a meaningful life, it's from the sugar, partly. So there's Holistic Wellness for the HipHop Generation is another song. The other side of the album, actually, he's got a double CD. And one is all about these songs: food, holistic wellness for the HipHop generation, sugar, crack, drugs masquerading as food, medicine man, purify or die, all about cleansing and how to do a juice fast. He's talking about it to people that would be living, you know, in the South Bronx and Brooklyn Park and all this, you know, South Central. I'd like to see the day when there's organic farming, festivals, live food gatherings combined with hip-hop and breakdancing. This is actually happening a lot faster than we know. And when we talk about, you know, maybe the church on the corner told you about messianic time, apocalypse. But what that means, from his point of view, and perhaps mine, is that we all wake up. He's saying, well, when we take care of our health, we can all be a vessel for the whole planet to wake up. And so I'm glad he connects the body and the spirit. That's conscious hip. Just like a paradigm is emerging, we know our oneness, music too. And so we'll go around the world with conscious music, conscious hip hop, and bring that intensity.